Okay, I started the recording. This is the June 2nd, 2021 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting.
This is gonna get.
Hello.
Kathy, I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay. The zoning board of appeals meeting will now come to order. Could we read the roll, James, please?
Sure. Kathy Conroy,
Here.
John Normile, Katie McLaren,
Here.
Jack McCann,
Here.
and Mark Palazzi.
Here.
Okay, we ready to go? Case PLZBA 2021-0011, Cemetery Road and Bordale Drive. Area variance for a parking deficiency, 180 spaces required, 124 proposed. Keystone Homes Incorporated is proposing to construct 90 apartment units, 3 buildings, in a planned development zone. The applicant is represented by Nicholas Costa, P.E., of Advanced Engineering and Land Surveying, PLLC. Mr. Costa here?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Chairwoman.
So would you like to tell us what you want to do, please?
Sure. If I may share the screen, James or Dash, is it possible for me to share the screen?
Got that, James?
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah.
You should be able to
Yep.
now.
Yeah, so I don't know if everybody can see it, but this aerial photograph shows the proposed site, which is located at the corner of Cemetery Road and Gurley Avenue. And this site has been in front of the Planning Commission a few times over the last few years. And at this time, the applicant Keystone Homes is proposing to develop the site with 3 buildings that'll have 30 apartments in each building. And as you can see, the parcel is outlined by the red delineation. Those are the boundaries of the parcel. It's about 5 acres in size. And access will be from Cemetery Road, and then the apartments will be developed in each one of these buildings. There is utilities at the site to serve the proposed development. There's water both on Cemetery Road and on Gurley Avenue. There's sanitary sewer service that was constructed and brought to the parcel boundary at this location. I don't know if everybody can see that where my pointer is, but it's off of Laurie Jean Place. The sanitary sewer was extended to be extended in the future when this parcel was anticipated for development. So that's the utilities are available. Municipal utilities are available to serve the proposed 3 buildings. And we are proposing to develop parking for the apartments within this gray area. There's going to be parking bays that'll serve the apartments. We are proposing 124 parking spaces. There are 180 required by the zoning requirements. So we're here tonight to request the reduction of the 180 spaces to 124. And basically, the parking requirements are 2 per apartment, but national studies have shown that the requirements for apartments is usually 1.25 to 1.5 parking spaces per apartment. So we're proposing the reduction. The reduction of those parking spaces will also reduce the impervious area. And just to give you an idea of the topography of the site, the high point of the parcel is along this property boundary, and then it drops towards Lori Jean Place on a continuous slope with a little bit of a terrace in this general area right here. This was initially proposed and approved for a residential subdivision with a cul-de-sac, a city street to be constructed with lots similar to what's across the street. That was never developed, and the applicant purchased the land and is now proposing to develop it, as I summarized earlier. If there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer them. But that is a summary of what our proposal is and what we're requesting from the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Nick, can you give us a brief summary of the process, of where you guys are in the process with the Planning Commission? You know,
Sure.
when you've gone to those meetings, where you're at right now, and
Yeah,
then if you could just after that touch upon, you know, the reason. I mean, I guess you already really did tell us why you need the variance, but so yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So sure. So as I mentioned, we've been working with the Planning Commission. You know, now with this proposal, since I believe it was last September when we initially presented this revision or editing of the proposal with the 3 individual apartment buildings. We were in front of them as recently as last month, where we received the conditional approval of the site plan. And the conditions are that we get the variance that we're here to request tonight, and also that we respond and address the comments from the designated engineer, who is GPI. And we're in the process of addressing those comments, and we'll be soon responding to those comments. But obviously, the other key to that approval is the condition that we need the parking variance.
I think that Mr. Costa, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I went off before. I think my internet went off for a second.
Okay.
I asked the question, is the parking bay the same thing as a parking space, or is the bay with like one of those overhangs? You know what I mean?
No. These are all uncover spaces. These are all open spaces.
Okay, so bay is a word equal to space.
Yeah,
It's the same thing as space.
yeah, that's correct. The bay,
Okay.
normally in the industry, you know, we call a parking bay, you know, an access road with parking on both sides or just on one side.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, and all of the parking is going to be along the road here, did you say?
Yes, you know, people come in and go out, and this is a 24-foot wide aisle, you know, drive aisle, and there'll be parking on both sides of that drive aisle. And those parking spaces are per the city requirements, which are the standard requirements, 9 foot by 18 foot. Deep.
And you got room for 62 then on each side probably, or close to it.
Yeah,
Give or take.
generally,
Yeah, okay.
along this area, we pull this building forward a little bit, so it's not quite, but
Yeah,
back here it's symmetrical.
Yeah.
That's correct.
okay. Like parallel parking or
Parallel parking. Yes.
parallel parking? Okay.
Nick,
Does anybody else have
sorry.
questions? Mark? you
yeah, I
a
have a few. The apartment units themselves, are any of them single bedroom?
I believe they're all 2 bedrooms, Mark. I have to confirm that, but I think that they're all 2 bedrooms. There's no 3 bedrooms, but I think it's laid out as two bedrooms.
So 180 bedrooms total?
Yes.
Okay. I guess the second question is, if required to, could you put additional parking on this 5-acre
Yes.
parcel?
Yes, we did a layout where we showed to James and Dish a layout that would expand the parking down into this area right here, and we would gain a good amount of parking.
But on the other hand, if you added the parking, you would be taking away from the green space.
That's correct. It would be adding on to the impervious, and I apologize because I started discussing that when I went into the topography. So the topography here is such that everything is running towards Laurie Jean, and what we're doing is we're building a swale back here to capture all the runoff and bring it to a detention basin that we have shown here, that will be constructed here to manage that stormwater runoff. So it intercepts the stormwater before it goes out onto the Norma Jean residence here.
Yeah, okay.
So I guess my
Can you hear
third
me,
question.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Hang on. Who's
Okay.
that speaking?
It's Amanda Myers.
Okay, well, it's not your turn. I'm sorry, I mean to say it's not your turn yet, but we're still in the we'll get to the point where we're gonna have questions from the public,
Oh, okay.
but this isn't that time yet. Okay, go
Okay.
ahead, Mark.
Thank you. So Nick, in the event though that this project gets built out and these apartments, all 2-bedroom, get filled, is it fair to say there is no street parking on Cemetery or Gurley adjacent to the parking lot to accommodate any additional vehicles?
No, it would be prohibited to have any parking either on Cemetery and Gurley. Gurley, the elevation change between the parking lot and Gurley is, I want to say 30, 40 feet in elevation difference. So this is a major hill, let's say, that anybody that contemplated parking out here and walking to the apartment would have quite the challenge to walk down that hill.
Okay, Katie or anybody else have a question at the moment?
I just have a.
Go ahead,
I'm sorry,
Katie.
were you- Was
No,
somebody else?
Katie, it's your turn.
Okay, I'm just wondering, just for my own understanding, is the parking lot above the buildings? Like, it's on a slope where once you park, you've got to walk down to the building?
No, the buildings, what happens is the buildings are the finished floor of the first floor of the building is going to be basically a little higher, maybe 6 inches to 8 inches higher than the parking lot. But then the building, the ground, like where my pointer is right now, the
Yep.
ground here slopes down. Yes, it does
Okay.
slope down. So the buildings are set and there'll be the foundations will be visible as you walk down the slope. The building foundations will be visible.
Okay. I just wanted to get a better understanding of it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
John Normile or Jack McCann? We don't see you here. Are you
I-
there?
I'm here.
Okay, and John or Jack, do either of you
Well,
have a question?
Mark kind of stole my thunder there. He had the same
Okay.
questions. Mark had the same questions I did.
All right. How about John? Did John go away?
No, I'm still here.
Okay. Do you
I
have a
just
question,
unmuted.
John, before we,
I do.
okay?
Do you have an elevation facing east, looking up the slope at the buildings and how they're going to be situated? If you could share that, that might be helpful.
Let me look, John. I'm not sure that I have, I think I do have some elevations. If you don't mind, I'm gonna go back and into my, not the share screen because I didn't put it in my share screen, but let me bring it up on my computer if you don't mind.
Okay, while you're looking for that, should we hear anybody else who wants to speak in favor of this? It's gonna take you a minute, Nick, to do that?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay, so then we'll just move ahead with anybody else who wants to speak in favor of this proposal. Are you ready, Nick, or no?
No, not yet.
Okay, anybody to speak in opposition?
Kathy, before you
Okay,
open it
okay.
up, I'm just wondering if it might be a good idea to just mention to the folks who are here to speak in opposition that that this project is an approved use.
Right,
That we're not
I was
here
gonna
to-
do that, yeah,
Oh, you were, okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Before anybody started to speak.
Okay,
I was just gonna make the point that this is an approved use. And the only thing we are here for tonight is the parking. It's planned development in a planned development zone, as Bordale Estates is in the planned development zone. And please, if anyone has any opposition, only address your comments to the parking. Okay.
I have, I
Nick?
have opposition.
Okay, but hang on a sec, because
All right.
Nick, are you trying to, are you ready, Nick, to answer
Yes.
John's question?
Yes, so I do have the elevation, one elevation that's a south and north, and I also have an east elevation and a west elevation. And just so everyone, I was in error when I said 2 bedrooms. It's a mix. It's 50% of 1 bedroom and 50% 2 bedrooms, Mark. So there is a mix of 1 and 2
Oh, I
bedrooms.
didn't realize that.
Yeah, no,
I thought they were all 2 bedrooms also. That's what
Yeah.
the document said.
I think the previous proposal was 2 bedrooms,
Okay.
and that's why. But I just, you know, I wanted
Okay.
to
Well, that's
make
an
that
important
correction.
point.
So
Yes.
do you have a total number of bedrooms that would be built into the total number of, like a total number of bedrooms?
Yeah, so you know, like you said, you came up with 180, so it would be, 45 will be 2 bedrooms, that's 90, and then 45, which would be 135, I think, right?
Okay.
Right.
Yep. That sounds right. I don't have a calculator. I trust that math.
Okay. Okay, John, does this answer your question, or does this bring up the question you had?
It does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So since there's no one else here to speak in favor of this proposal, James, how are we gonna open this up? Or, I mean, face-wise, or what? We have Diana down here in the corner.
Yeah, Nick, if you could stop sharing your screen, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I will. Yep, that's what I was looking for. Sorry. James.
Okay,
Okay,
So-
and so folks, if you could use, there's a raise hand function on Zoom. If you can understand how to use that, that would be helpful. If not, you can, and you have your video on, you could just raise your hand and we'll try to go in somewhat of a orderly fashion.
but I will also, okay, I'm sorry, James. I will also say that I appreciate everybody's concerns, but I would also appreciate it if you didn't all say the same thing, that you're opposed to the parking. We know, you know what I mean? Like, it's America, you're welcome to speak, but we would just appreciate it if you had something different to say from the person or people who spoke before you. I say that with all due respect, and I hope nobody's upset with me for saying that, but I see Mr. Roberts here with a hand up.
I can't have a hand. I don't see how to do
Oh.
a hand.
All right, well, then we're gonna let Diana go first because she's like me. She doesn't see the hand. I wouldn't see it either. Go ahead, Diana.
Okay, I just,
You have to state your name and your address, please.
Diana Harrison, Halikias, 47 Gurley Avenue, Troy, New York.
So you're across the street.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, well, I had a letter here, but I sent that by email. But the point is, the engineer, I guess it is, had said, Mr. Costa had mentioned that there are national statistics saying it's not really the 2 slot requirement. It's really only 1 or 1 1/4 slots required. That's very vague. And those aren't the rules and regulations of Troy, the city of Troy, New York. And you are the experts at the planning department, and you have determined, you yourselves, not me, have determined that 2 slots are required for the safety and convenience and helpfulness and quality of life here in our neighborhood. So I reject any acceptance of some vague mention of national statistics saying 1 or 1 1/4 slots are okay. There is nothing to say they are okay. They're not okay. That's why you say 2 are required, and you're the experts, and I trust you, and I want to live by the rules and regulations that you have made, not me. And I want all of our neighbors want to live by the rules and regulations that you've made. And I don't think a 1/3 decrease in the number of slots is in any way should be called a variance. That's an outright abrogation and just an awful dismissal of the expert advice of the Planning Commission. So of course you should have development, but that's planned, reasonable, rational development according to the rules and regulations of the city of Troy, and not to just with a wave of a pen dismiss those rules and regulations. No, a 1/3 variance is not a variance. That's a mockery. That's a mockery. That land is made for 62 units, not 90. It's made for 62. That's why there are 124 parking spaces to match 62 units. And if they insist on 90 units, you can't give a variance of 1/3. That just makes a
Okay.
mockery.
Okay, thank you, Diana.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Roberts? Joe Roberts?
Hi, yeah, it's Donna Carr and Joe Roberts.
Okay, all right, fake out. What's your name?
Donna Carr.
Donna
Really?
Farr? And what's
Yeah.
your address, Donna?
There's actually a couple. One is, you also need parking for visitors. Where are you
No,
gonna
wait a minute, I
put?
want the address, your address.
For Lori Jean.
For where?
Lori Jean Place.
Okay,
So, where do you put the visitors? You also gotta assume that, they're gonna have visitors too. And, the other thing is what's gonna keep these people from cutting across Lori Jean Place when they're trying to get to Gurley? Gurley is not set up for a lot of traffic. It's horrible as it is right now for me to leave Lori Jean and turn on the.
there's somebody else speaking, pardon me, Donna, somebody
Yep.
else is speaking in the background. Is it you, Diana? Is your microphone, did you not mute yourself? It's difficult to hear Donna with someone speaking in the background, wherever that's coming from. Go ahead, Donna.
Okay, so it's really kind of a 3-parter. One is you need visitors to be able to park.
Right.
As well.
Yeah,
And then not only the visitors, but the residents, what's to stop them from cutting across Lori Jean Place to get to Gurley? What's to stop that? We already
Got it.
have people that cut through.
all right. And what's the third?
And then right now, Gurley, it's a huge traffic and speeding problem as it is, much less adding all those extra traffic. Like for me to go out onto Gurley you really have to be very careful before you pull out of here. Are there going to be any lights installed? I really think it would be probably safe before somebody gets killed that they really put in some lights, especially on Cemetery and Gurley.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep, and that's from both Joe and I.
Okay, good.
Joe
Thank you.
Roberts. Yep.
Stephen, who's, Wet, I bet.
Valaket.
Valaket, okay, because your whole name's not on there. Go
My
ahead.
name is Stephen Valaket. I
Yep.
am a resident at 17 Red Rock Road.
So you're opposite Gurley also, across
Correct.
the other side of Gurley. Yep,
Due to the terrain, it's a little bit more elevated than Gurley Avenue, but
Right.
it overlooks the subject of today's
Yep.
hearing. So my objections here are really twofold. One is first to form. The only reason that I'm here today is because Peter and Diana ended up notifying us yesterday that this hearing occurred. So I would like to simply put an objection to form. The second objection is I know that Mr. Costa mentioned that there was an original plan potentially for some type of other development with a cul-de-sac. And I'm assuming that that did not require a variance for parking. That is why I am against this. That's it. Thank you.
okay, thank you. Very nice and to the point, like it, Stephen. Anybody else speak in opposition?
I know Amanda was trying to speak earlier.
All right, Amanda, where did Amanda go?
Well, I got part of the question. I live at 36 Lori Jean Place. And now I understand that I live where additional parking would go in if they need it. And so with
How
messing
do you
up with
figure
the
that? Excuse
terrain,
me, how do you figure that?
because I'm at 36, it'll be right behind my house. Where
Oh,
the
it'll be
additional
behind your
parking will
house,
go.
on their
Yes, it'll
property.
be behind my house.
Yes,
And that
right.
water, what are they gonna do to make sure that I don't have a wet basement?
Well, that's not the parking thing, that we're trying very hard just to stick to parking tonight. It's a legitimate question, but it's for the planning commission. The
But
planning board.
also, another question nobody has mentioned too is, can an ambulance get in and turn around? Can a fire truck get in and turn around on that new road that they're building for these houses with all this parking? Is it
Okay,
wide enough?
we'll ask. Yep, I believe he said it was, but we'll certainly find out from him. Okay, is that it, Amanda, your major concerns?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. We'll get Mr. Costa to answer them. Do we have anybody else to speak in opposition? Okay, then, Mr. Costa, would you like to?
Kathy, it
Well,
appears
Dean,
Jay Yang on Zoom. It looks like you're not muted, so but you could. There you go.
is that Dean too?
Could I have something? Yep. Could I have something to say as well?
Okay,
Okay,
hang on a
Jay
second.
Yang, you want to go ahead and
Okay, my name is Jimmy Yang. I live at 6 Antonia Court. And I basically, I agree with all the others who objected, especially what Diana said. And I can add more, but I do object.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Yang. Who is Dean two? James?
Dean and Tina Reisdorf were at 47 Gurley Ave. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Did you want to speak?
If you would stop interrupting, I would love to.
I beg your pardon, if who would stop interrupting me?
You, yes,
Who did I interrupt?
you're interrupting me.
Okay, well, until you showed up, it's very difficult to hold these Zoom meetings and make sure that everybody gets a chance to speak in the order in which they came on. So all I see here is Dean two. Didn't realize you were there. I apologize. Please state your name and your address and tell us what your opposition is.
This is Dean and Tina Reisdorf. We live at 49 Gurley Ave. And again, thank you to Diana and Peter because we were as well not notified of this meeting. We received no mailing that this was going on, which has been a problem in the past. You have no problem sending my bills to me, which I tend to get, but whenever it comes to this project, it's always been an issue. So thank you to Peter and Diana for that. This plan seems to have changed on a number of occasions. As again, Mr. Costa just said again tonight. So, you know, it was approved, unfortunately, for 72 apartments and 6 buildings and 144 parking spaces a couple years ago. And now apparently it's been changed to what it was, you know, and then he's just said that it's changed again. So you guys don't even know that these changes are going on because you, by your own account, said that they were supposed to be 2-bedroom units. And now he's saying they're 2-bedroom units and 1-bedroom units. You guys, this whole plan is ruining this area. This is,
We're only addressing the parking here.
so when you put this parking space with a 30 to 40-foot drop from Gurley Ave, which is directly in front of my house. What happens when that erodes and the road washes away and the front part of my property washes away, and all of the drainage that's going to happen, that's going to go into Laura Jean Place because it's always been an issue, and
Okay,
all other stuff? This is absolutely appalling. You are ruining our neighborhood, and I can
okay.
guarantee you my
Well,
house.
I will interrupt to say that right now, we're only dealing with the parking, the eroding land, et cetera, which deals with the project as a whole, is in the purview of the planning board, not the zoning board. We're only dealing with giving a variance for the 24, I believe it is, parking spaces.
Okay,
So
so
if you
just,
want to address the parking spaces, go right ahead. If you want to address the erosion, you're going to have to go to the planning board meeting.
All right, so this is her husband, Dean. At the end of this parking space, is there room? Do the parking spaces go all the way to the end of the road?
Okay, well, we're putting all the questions together and we'll have Mr. Costa answer
So
them,
all
okay?
the parking spaces go all the way to the end of the road. There is not enough space to turn around a fire truck that's over 30 feet long.
Well, Amanda Myers just brought up that very issue, so we already have that here for him to address.
Okay. Are they
The ambulance, emergency vehicles being able to turn around. But we're gonna have Mr. Costa address all the issues when we get done with any that are, all the different concerns that the neighbors have,
Thank you.
okay?
shady mother.
Yeah. Is there anybody else to speak in opposition? Okay, is Mr. Costa here?
Yes, Chairwoman.
Okay, so
I'm here.
we'd like to address some of these concerns. I think it would be best to address the local ones. I know Diana spoke of the national statistics and somebody else agreed with that, but I'd like to leave that for a minute and go to the, for example, if people have visitors and so forth, are there plans to have any traffic lights installed on Gurley Avenue? And how about the emergency vehicles being able to turn around at the end of that road?
So let's start with the easy one, which is the light or traffic, any type of traffic control at the intersection. We're not aware of that intersection, having been studied to have a traffic control additional control being installed there. There are stop signs, but I think that I don't think that that I'm aware of any traffic control. That would be the city would have to determine whether there would be additional traffic requirements at that intersection. We're certainly not going to, what we're adding for traffic is not, going to worsen the situation, because the Gurley Avenue is is kind of a collector road that has traffic moving from the north end of Troy out to towards Oakwood Avenue, where it's a big collector road, major collector road. So I'm not privy to any of that information. It would have to be discussed with the city
Okay.
with regards to that.
How about the road being built and so that it would be able to have the emergency vehicles go down to the end and turn around if needs be?
Well, if they're
wide enough and all that?
well, it's 24-foot wide, and it's wide enough to obviously, the normal requirements that are in the building code for fire apparatus is I believe it's 18 feet wide, so it's wide enough for that. As far as turning around, the road is a dead end road, so it's a private road. It's not a city road. So a large fire truck, I'm not sure that they would even drive in there, because they may be fighting the fire from other locations that are nearby. But, emergency vehicles, a large ladder truck would not be able to turn around in that private, a private road. It would need to loop out to Lori Jean or loop out to Gurley Avenue, which is not feasible.
Okay. And what was the other? The ambulance, the speeding, the lights we've decided are going to be for the city to
Yes, that's right.
determine. And as far as the visitors and the residents, I mean, what's your answer to whether or not there's going to be enough space if you need, people have visitors, where are they supposed to park?
The visitor, we feel that with 124 parking spaces, there's enough for visitors also. It's not, our thought is that the ratio of parking to apartments is sufficient to provide also for some visitors. And again, not everybody's going to be visiting at the same time. And not everybody's going to be home at the same time. So, the 124 spaces would accommodate visitors. Of course, we could add more parking, but again, it would also result in an additional impervious area, which would have additional runoff from that impervious area to the storm system. So the idea of reducing the parking, especially when it's not needed, is one of the goals of the stormwater management design manuals, and also, it's better for the environment.
Hey,
Okay.
Kathy, just want to chime in real quick. There was
Sure.
someone who wrote in the chat that their voice could not be heard. Their name is
Saw
Darlene.
that.
Okay, if you're going to address it, go ahead.
I saw that Mrs. Zahigian said.
Yep.
So if her voice can't be heard, do you have the chat there, Mark? Can you just speak to what she
I can
said?
read it. It says, apparently my voice cannot be heard due to audio issues, but I, owner and taxpayer 16 Antonia Court, oppose any plans to increase parking, is what the message says.
Okay, thank you. Now we can have one member of the opposition to speak. I see where there's two hands up, and Ashley was coming in and out. I don't know what that means. But I'm sorry, we only have one person from the opposition to speak. So I don't know who wants to answer Mr. Costa. There's Ashley again. Or Dean, do you want to, you both have your hand up, but which one of you wants to answer? Only one gets to,
I want to speak to Mr. Costa's point.
okay.
On the emergency vehicles. So what you're saying to me is that you're building 3 apartment buildings on a private road that you feel a fire truck will not go down and put out a fire on your inner building.
What I'm saying is, can I answer the question, Ms. Chairman?
Yes, please.
Okay. What I'm saying is that a ladder truck, let's say, a large ladder truck would not be able to go down because they would have a tough time in any of the streets in the public streets in Troy. They usually need to have a way of continuous access. Whenever it gets to a dead end or a cul-de-sac, they would have an issue with that too.
Well, the ladder trucks are exactly about 1.5 feet or 2 feet longer than their actual engine truck, and you're building a 5-story building. So basically what you're saying is anybody that's trapped on the 3rd floor and up is SOL.
Well, and I would say also, Mr. Reisendorf, right? Dean
Yes.
Reisendorf?
Yes.
That is a question, first of all, that I would like to James maybe to address from a city perspective. And second of all, really doesn't have to do with the parking, because that's whether there was a car there or not, that I would think would be a concern. You know what I
Well,
mean?
But the parking in a
So
sense,
therefore,
that parking lot is not long enough for the turnaround. It does have to do with parking. Because
I
if the
understand, no, the
cars-
road is not big enough for the turnaround, he's saying, not the parking.
Just to clarify again. I
Yes,
mean,
so James is
this
gonna
is-
clarify for us now. Go ahead, James.
The site plan has been undergoing review through the planning commission. So we're not here to analyze the site plan.
Right.
Dean, I understand your concerns. I think those are great points and we should continue to discuss those. Nick, you know, that's something that you should be coordinating with Aaron on moving forward. But again, just this is for everybody. We're here to decide whether or not 180 parking spaces would need to be built, or if the applicant could build 124 parking spaces instead. It's not whether or not the project would get approved. It's not whether or not we have adequate emergency access. The case that's in front of us right now is not determining whether this apartment complex would be built or not. It's really about, are they building 180 parking spaces as required per our zoning code, or are they allowed to build 124 parking spaces? That's the variance in front of the board.
Okay, and James,
And
can I
I would
answer the
just-
question?
I would just add to that, if I
Hang on one
can,
sec.
Madam Chair.
Hang on one sec.
Um,
Oh, I'm sorry, Andy. I didn't know you were here. Where'd you come from?
I've been
Go
trying to
ahead.
be quiet.
Oh,
I just, no one would be able to pull a building permit without compliance with the state fire and building and fire prevention code. So any violations of the state fire code, they wouldn't be able to get a building permit. So if they've submitted a plan that doesn't meet fire code in terms of access ways, that's going to be stopped at the building permit level by the building department. If any building permit must adhere to the fire code.
okay. And as James said, more clearly, sure than I, this is only, before us tonight is the parking only. Might I just ask a question, James? After we make our decision tonight, then where does this project go? Back to planning, or what? What happens with this project after tonight?
So I haven't been bringing this project through the planning commission personally. I know Aaron is on, who might be able to speak to that. Nick could also likely speak to that. But they
Okay, I'm
need
just curious,
approvals-
like, it's not over and done with tonight.
No,
They need approvals from both the zoning board for the parking specifically,
Right,
and for the planning commission to move forward with the project.
right. So
And
my point is to
As
the
Andy has pointed
opposition.
out.
Yeah, my point is to the opposition that they will have other opportunities to air their concerns, and perhaps if they could somehow or other find out when these meetings are, which seem to be a concern of more than one person, that they were notified of these meetings. I know you only notified people that are probably just right next door, adjacent to the properties or whatever. But if there's some way that they could find out, or somewhere that they could go, you could tell them when the next meeting is, so they could check the agenda, then they would have an opportunity to speak, because I don't want anybody to think we're, blowing them off. But on the other hand, as James said, and I attempted to say, this only deals with the parking.
I was told that only, I called up.
Okay,
and-
Diana, you're off. I'm sorry.
I was told-
Rudely, but no, we only had one person from the opposition speak, and that was Dean. So anything further from now, I'm sorry, but the public portion is closed. We had the approval, or the pros, the cons, the answers, the con. So now we're done. So,
Kathy, do you want to have Nick or Aaron just clarify where this project is with the planning commission? Nick, have you
yeah,
guys?
that'd be a good idea. See, Aaron, I don't like this. People are here and we're hearing them and we don't see their faces. James, don't see their names. I get a little concerned. But that's all right. Go ahead, Nick or Aaron. Tell us where it's going after tonight.
This project, at the last planning commission meeting, received conditional site plan approval. Those conditions were obtaining the variance for parking from the ZBA this evening, and then coordinating with DPU for the sewer extension.
Okay, and then do they have to go back to planning?
No, planning does not need to see them again.
Okay, so after we make our decision and after DPU does what they have to do,
They deal
presume
with the
that,
building.
It'll go
Correct. The
forward?
applicant has to meet the stipulation that they obtain a variance for parking.
correct?
If they need to obtain approval from DPU, and they need to address the third-party engineering comments that were received on the project. Those are all
Okay.
very technical in nature, and
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Okay. So, from John, Norman, and Kathy, could Andy provide a brief outline of the notice requirements? What notice? Oh, the notice that we're having a meeting?
Well, there were
You mean-
two comments.
Yeah, about the
from
meeting
residents.
notices?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Andy, could you tell us basically, who
Sure.
gets notified?
I-
Are you the person who would know that? Who gets notified that there's gonna be a meeting?
Yeah, I do know that. Under the city code 285-36, a publication must be published in the paper, I believe at least 10 days in advance. And then the 5 closest neighboring properties must be mailed notification. So the 5 closest adjacent must be mailed notification. The applicant must be mailed a copy of the notice, and it must be published in the paper. That's the notice requirement.
Thank
Okay,
you, Andy.
thank you.
Sure.
All right, members of the board, do we have any further questions?
I have one of Andy, actually. Maybe he can address it.
Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Andy, is there a way to condition any kind of approval on land banking that particular green space for additional parking if necessary in the future?
On a general level, Mark, you can impose reasonable conditions upon granting a variance. They have to be reasonable, they have to be based upon the attributes of the variance. The specific question of whether or not you can require land banking is a little bit more difficult, because I think in order to show a land banked parking area, it would have to be part of the site plan review process. And so since they did receive their site plan approval without a land banked parking area, I don't think this board can require it. The site plan, as you're looking at it, is approved. Although it may be a good idea, and if parking is a problem for them, they may come back to the planning commission and seek additional parking. I don't think you can require land bank on a site plan that's already approved.
So,
Thank
Andy,
you.
Okay, thank you. John?
yeah, so Andy, our only authority in this issue is whether or not to grant a variance on the requested parking. If we vote it down, then the project could proceed, but they would have to put in the extra spaces and do away with the green space? Like there's nothing else we can
Yes,
do?
what would happen is, and the applicant has indicated throughout the process that they do have the ability to provide the 180 required. They're asking for a reduction so they can provide more green space and reduce impervious. But if they were required to put the 180 in, they claim that they can do it. Their site plan approval shows the 124. So if this variance is denied, which is an express condition of the site plan approval, they would have to go back to the planning commission with a site plan that shows the full 180 parking spaces on the site. It's my understanding from the previous meetings at the planning commission that they've indicated that they have the ability to do that. They're asking for the variance, and I believe it's supported by the planning department, because it's a recognition that reducing it will reduce impervious as well as increase green space and increase buffer for the project itself.
Thank you, Andy.
Okay, does anybody else have any further questions? Or are we ready to vote?
I'll do a secret. Madam Chair, I move that in ZBA 2021 -11, that the board find this proposal to be an unlisted action with sufficient information available upon which to make a determination that the project is not expected to cause significant environmental impact.
Do we have a second? I'll second it. Nobody else, okay, and all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Okay, so now we need a motion on the application itself. Does anybody wish to make that motion?
Madam Chair, I will make a motion. I'll make a positive motion to approve the area variance for the parking deficiency. I don't believe that it is a substantial request based on the number of total spaces required. And I guess knowing that they have the land there, if it becomes necessary to provide more parking, is part of the reason that I make this motion to approve.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, John seconds. Okay, and on the motion, Jack McCann,
Vote to approve.
Kate, oh, wait, no, she made the motion. Mark Palazzi.
So I find that this variance request is self-created. It's a substantial variance from the actual code. And I feel like this is a situation where there is a feasible alternative to the variance. Specifically, they could just build 180 spots. So for that reason, I'm voting no.
Okay, John Normile,
Vote yes to approve.
who am I missing?
Katie, yourself.
Kathy Conroy, I vote yes. Katie McLaren
Yes.
and Jack McCann, I already got you. So have we all voted here now? 1, 2, 3,
Yes, Madam
4, 5.
Chair.
Yes, we have. Yeah, I'm all confused because of the lack of video. Okay, so on the motion passes with a vote of 4-1.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay,
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
okay, okay, you're welcome. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourning, bye-bye.
Next
Good
month.
night.
And I'll click on, we can click on leave, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.